Blog Talk Radio. Opening music provided by bensound.com. Welcome everyone to today's Earth Energy Forecast Show on this Tuesday, June 30th of 2020. Thank you for tuning in today. If you're listening later to the podcast, I am your host, Joan Cerio. Yes, we made it through half of 2020. Pat yourself on the back. You did it. You know, it's possible. More is coming, and you're doing a great job. So we made it through half of this year. We made it through 2/3 of this eclipse season. We have one more coming up this weekend, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, depending on where you are. And this eclipse does go over, I think it's the central U.S., and it's right around the birthday of the U.S. and its birth chart. So it's going to be a big one for us here in the United States, and we can just wait and see what happens. I think we're pretty much primed for things. We're in a Mercury retrograde. We're in eclipse season. And I'm so grateful I'm on the air today because I lost power. I lost internet. I lost cable yesterday. And here I am, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that I'll be here for the remainder of the show because it's been one heck of a Mercury retrograde for me. And it's just that kind of a time that the energy is up and down and all around, and all we can do is, keep your hands in from the side and just go for the ride. Follow the energy, follow your intuition, stay in your hearts. Stay in your hearts right now. That is the way through. And speaking of finding a way through, today's guest is going to help all of those empaths out there that I know are feeling all this because me, myself, and I admit I am an empath and I've been feeling it. And there's some days I have to check in with other friends. I'm like, is this me or is it Memorex? For those of you that are old enough to remember that commercial, I don't know. And sometimes I think I am feeling the collective more than myself. So how do we find calm in the chaos? So I'm going to have return guest EagleSpirit on the show today. And she's going to share her top 5 self-care tips for sensitive souls so that they can thrive rather than just survive during this powerfully creative time. And it is very creative. So watch your thoughts. Watch what you say, and because you are creating every second of every day. And so I'm so excited to have this show today. I think it's just timed perfectly. As a soul seer, contemporary shaman, and visionary artist, EagleSpirit's energetic work aligning the 4 bodies, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, and helping clients tap into their inner wisdom is sought after from clients all around the world. She gently supports them in returning to their natural state of being and balance with their everyday world. It is about facilitating a reclaiming of one's true self and returning to daily life feeling empowered. As a respected wellness expert, her energy has been called a walking vortex. EagleSpirit has been featured on TV, radio, and online media. Creator of the popular Empath 101 and unique healing experiences like Soul Journeys and Spirit Quest Tours, and host of the Saturday Night Soul Food Facebook Live program, she is sought out for her inspiring and energizing talks. Her website is EagleSpiritJourneys.com. You can email her at EagleSpiritJourneys@gmail.com. You can find her on Facebook at facebook.com/feelsoul, SOUL, good, and on Instagram at EagleSpiritJourneys. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Eagle Spirit to the show. Well, back again, Eagle Spirit. It's so great to have you back on the show. I'm just so excited to talk to you again. I love your energy. I love what you bring to the show. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say today.
I'm really happy to be back, Joan, because now more than ever, reaching out to fellow sensitive souls, empaths, and HSP feels really, really important. We're at a critical time right now, and a lot of us are feeling energetically overwhelmed. So I appreciate you being able to hold space with your radio show for your listeners who really need the types of speakers that you're inviting on to share.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yes, it definitely is a critical point. We're going through the eye of the needle, I feel, and this is so important because when I started Earth Energy Forecast, I wanted to do this to get information out about what's going to happen on this Earth and the changes that are coming. Not only the outer changes that we're experiencing right now, but the inner changes as well. And I think today we're going to talk about both. You know, a little bit about what's happening outside, but how it affects us inside, or maybe it starts within and then goes out. It's all one, and I think it's making this big cycle right now. So I just couldn't be timed any more perfectly. So I'm so happy to have you on today. I just want to start by saying a little bit about myself because I am an empath. And I know for myself, I've been feeling a lot and been going through a lot. And it's been up and down, up and down. Some days are like, okay, I don't know that I can do this anymore. And there's some days like, this is great. And then, we're riding the roller coaster.
Joan, do you notice when you say that you're feeling things a lot these days, does it manifest itself, these awarenesses, in a particular energetic body, either physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually? Where do you notice it showing up the most?
Well, lately I've been noticing it more physically and emotionally. And with, the eclipse that we just had, and, that solar eclipse right at 0 degrees Cancer, my moon is in Cancer. So I really feel, I really feel things, and I'm a Scorpio rising, so I have a lot of water in my chart. So the emotional stuff. And so I can feel a lot, but physically I've been experiencing a lot, which is interesting.
Anything new these days?
Yeah. Well, it's been some inflammation that's coming up. So I always look at things as within, so without. So in the collective to see how things are being inflamed right now.
Right.
And also, I've had some eruptions. I've had some, a urticaria. I've had a rash. Just all these things starting to erupt on my body, and we see these eruptions happening in the collective. So I find it interesting what's happening, and just wondering if anybody else out there that's an empath has noticed something like this physically as well.
I think the great thing is you're so self-reflective, you would check in immediately. Often for empaths, when we all of a sudden our emotional bodies shift and we're angry all of a sudden, inflamed, as you said, or sad, or physically we're feeling ill, we're feeling nauseous, these sudden shifts, being able to stop for a moment and discern, are they yours or are they somebody else's? And for the physical empaths, for example, they would feel what you're feeling, the rashes, the inflammation. For me, I'm a physical and emotional empath. So a few weeks ago when there was a lot of volcanic activity, the nausea was overwhelming. And I had to stop for a moment because if we don't stop and reflect and discern whether it's ours or somebody else's, or something else's, depending on what type of empath we are, we can run to the medicine cabinet. And that's not going to make us feel better, and it's not going to make our world feel better. And I really believe as empaths, we're here as the canaries in the coal mine. We know what's going on often before the general public does.
Right, yeah.
It's a small select few, really, of the population who identify as empaths. While on a spiritual level, we know that we're all one. Many religions teach that. But in an everyday living experience, it's the empath who really notices when things are off-center. And if we're not doing significant self-care, and I don't know about you, but I find it has to be very much increased right now. If we're not doing that, it's way easier to get pulled off center. And then we're not out and about spreading love and peace and compassion. We're busy licking our wounds that may not even be ours.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and you have to find what works for you.
Exactly.
I know that as soon as I get out and walk in nature, it's my soothing balm.
I know I was interviewed just a couple days ago, and the interviewer was asking me, what do you do now because you can't hug because of social distancing? And so for the empath, it's great. We're already out in nature, hug a tree. You know, little things we can do that mean the world to us right now, not only to help ground our energy and anchor us and discharge what we're accumulating in our energetic fields, but to feel some comfort too. And, you know, Mama Earth is having some challenges, but I know that we're deeply loved and we're being encouraged to come back into alignment, to live in alignment with this beautiful home that we're living in or on.
Yeah, and we're feeling her too.
Absolutely. But the thing, you know, scientists have shown us, she'll be fine. It's whether or not we last.
Right. Yeah.
She's shaken off humans a number of times.
Yes. And that sometimes comes with it cyclical. Every 12,000 years, we go through the pole reversal, and they talk about the micronova or the galactic superwave that comes through. Everything cycles in the universe, and that's just the way things are. And we've survived it before.
Yeah.
So it's survivable.
I saw, and you would know better than myself, there was the suggestion because of the Gregorian calendar that the end of the Mayan calendar was not originally the December 20th, 2012, that it's actually, you know, just recently.
Yeah, I saw that, but no.
No?
I don't buy that. Actually, Carl Kalleman recalculated the date to earlier. I forgot, it was like October or something that year. So of 2012. So no, but what there is, and I can't tell you specifically what the connection is, because I just heard this from another astrologer the other night. But that what's happening now, we can trace back to December 21st, 2012.
Interesting.
So there is a cycle that is activating that time.
Right.
And nothing happened. We thought, the world's going to end. Well, the world as we know it is ending, and we can see that.
Right.
That's happening now.
Right.
And that's what they were saying. But it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, that was the gateway, if you will,
right.
to time. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, it's often, talking on a cosmic scale, the world ending, but even coming down to an interpersonal scale, often we think endings are such horrific things, and they can show up in a variety of ways. But for me, I'm always a silver lining person. So at the end of something, there's also the beginning of something new. Like there's great opportunities coming. People are finding new ways to do things. People are reaching out to their neighbors in ways that they never did. The idea that there's an us and them, we can see the illusion of that. The great leveling with the COVID-19, for example. It doesn't matter who you are. You have the possibility of contacting this illness or moving through it and transitioning it. And I think that's rather interesting in many ways. So for me, while things seem very, very dramatic, if we can hold on to that we're birthing something that could be quite beautiful and embrace that, I think that allows us to inspire us to do the self-care and the work we need to do personally as empaths so that we can stay anchored and grounded and peaceful as everything around us shifts in ways that we could never have imagined.
Exactly. Yes. And it's just the cycle of creation. It's the energy of creation. So if people, can understand that, and I talk about it in my book, Hardwired to Heaven, from chaos comes creation.
Yes.
So we get to create anew. From creation comes destruction. From nothing comes everything, and then it starts all over again. Yes. So we're just in this cycle, and that's where we are.
Yes.
So I think for myself, it always helps to see the bigger picture of what's happening.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, you being an empath, self-identified empath as well, obviously. And we're always looking at the bigger picture because we feel connected to everyone. And the thing is not to get overwhelmed by that, to be able to see big picture, but then come back down to, okay, so what do I need to do in this moment? And that's where the checking and discernment that I talk about, that's a key principle of Empath 101, becomes so important, so that we don't do compassion fatigue. One of the paintings that I did, this particular one here, Water is Life, that came when I was praying for what do I do about the Australian wildfires? How do I help sitting in Eastern Canada? What's going on in Australia with energetic work? And an overwhelming urge came. I had to grab my largest canvas, and again, this destruction creation, and start to paint the prayers and start to paint the energy and the message. And the water goddess came with the message, water is life. And this, this idea of helping us connect to the elements, just as empaths need to connect to all four energetic bodies, that shift in awareness and consciousness can inform the choices that we make and where we go forward from here. And that's why it's so important that we allow ourselves to come back to center, not to get overwhelmed by social media, by politics, by come back, as you mentioned, into nature, and come back into our own nature. Mm-hmm. With that alignment, we have our answers. And our own nature, it feels important. Our own nature also includes our connection to the heavens, right?
Yes, definitely.
Galactic connection.
Yes, so more and more so now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This expanding our awareness and being able to move from a multidimensional perspective instead of this 3D where all we see are obstacles. No one could have imagined what's been going on with Black Lives Matter, when you think of the U.S. history, but when you think of the global history, no one could have imagined that we'd be where we are today. But from a larger perspective, wouldn't it make sense that we come back into alignment?
Right, yeah.
We can't benefit the whole on the backs of some.
Right, yes. So what can empaths do then to stay centered and to, come back within themselves and double check and know that, is this me? Is this real or is this Memorex? For those of you who are old enough, you'll understand it. That's what I always say.
I am old enough. I do know that reference. I also remember, if we're doing old references, remember when you had the cassettes and you'd put the tape would go out and you'd have to put the pencil in the center?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Hopefully the listeners are getting that one. If not, go ask again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right.
Well, I thought you might ask this, so I have my 5 favorite tips, and then it feels important to talk a little bit about discernment and share some of the things that I actually teach in the program. But we're at a critical time, and the more I can share the information to help people, especially my fellow sensitive souls, the more important it is to me right now. So let's look first at my top 5 tips. The first one is making sure you take care of your physical needs. And so that's what we were talking about when you mentioned about getting into nature, being able to ground your energy. Physical needs, making sure you drink water, making sure you eat foods that are actually in alignment with you. And you may find that the diet, not meaning lose weight diet, but the choices of food that once nurtured you may no longer serve. So don't be surprised. I had one person tell me that all of a sudden, just a month ago, her and her husband, and I'm in a big meat eating area, have gone vegan. And they're feeling lighter and more comfortable and more at ease in their bodies. So some people, their food is changing. Some people, sleeping patterns are changing. The important thing for the empath is that we acknowledge that we actually have physical needs, that we're not sitting with our, legs crossed and meditating and out in the spiritual plane. We have to come back and be grounded in the physical body. So tip number 1 is taking care of your physical needs. To be the most helpful to others, you can't run on autopilot. You have to be grounded and anchored in this physical form. Whether it's breaking out, whether it's inflamed, acknowledging what's going on. If you do that, it'll be easier and you won't get pulled around by other people's energies to the same degree. The second thing is to acknowledge your feelings. Sometimes as empaths, we want everything to be love and light. It's not. There is duality and polarity in the 3D perspective, at least. And so we have feelings, they come and go. And if the empath refuses to acknowledge his or her feelings, then you can't take the next step and find out if they're yours or somebody else's, right?
Right, yeah. And what I've noticed personally going through this ascension ride that we've been on, that there have been times where I'd have this feeling come up and I'm like, something's not right, and then I'm like, okay, and I'm checking what I'm doing and say, okay, it must be this, or, and then something would show up. And it feels like I've gone personally to another place now, we'll just put it, and I go through these waves, but it's not like specific information for myself. It's more of, it's more amorphous, like, okay, here we go with another, I'm not feeling right, I don't feel so hot, type of thing.
And when that happens, then it's to, okay, you may want to have handy like a top 10 list of self-soothing, self-caring things. It might be getting out and hugging that tree. It might be making sure you have enough water. It might be watching your favorite comedy, because the laughter, you're going to release those, that energy. Being able to shift the focus. And goodness gracious, when the waves of emotion come, checking to make sure whether or not it's yours, right? So that ties into the discernment. Is it mine? If it is yours, you can find out what you need on one or more of the 4 energetic levels. If it's not yours, find out whether or not you need to do something for that person, place, or thing that you're receiving the energy from. And because we sort of hinted into that whole galactic connection, this means we may be working with our star sisters and brothers as well. So it's really, really important, that question, is it mine? And that's part of the key thing with the checking and discernment. Once you're grounded and connected, and you're feeling an energetic cue, which some people experience as physical pain or emotional pain, or a unique train of thinking that seems to be foreign to the self, then you want to check and see, whose is that? Because it may be, as I mentioned with empaths being canaries in a coal mine, it may be a call to service because we naturally want to help, or it may be just that we've done energetic bumper cars. We're getting information, but it's really not for us. So we need to come back to center so that we can fulfill our part of this change that's going on. We can't do everybody's part.
Right.
But if we show up, it really helps. The third thing, so the first thing was about getting into your body and doing the physical self-care. The second thing was acknowledging your feelings. The third thing is, don't re-traumatize yourself by repeatedly reliving the stressful event. Turn off your laptop. Turn off your TV. It's really important, because what we do is we watch things. It's almost like it's, here we are, another old reference, putting grooves in the album.
Yeah,
like
the 33.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. We're deepening that track.
Uh-huh.
Playing in our head, and we need to leave room and energy and freedom to hear what else is coming in for us, because as much as things are going on and we don't really know based on our past where we're going, if we listen and stay open, come back to center is how you're going to do that. If we listen and stay open, we are being downloaded with a lot of new information and showing us new ways to navigate this world as it's being birthed. So the third one is, don't re-traumatize yourself by repeatedly reliving the stressful event. The fourth one I hinted at earlier, check your self-love list. What are ways that you can love yourself up? Especially right now, as we're still doing a lot of social distancing, it's important that we have ways that we can give to ourselves. We can't expect others to be checking in on us the way they were initially when COVID-19 was really in the front of everyone's mind. Now with everything going on, it's almost like it's just one of the side dishes of holy moly, things are moving.
It's almost been pushed aside. There's more important things now.
Exactly. It's exactly that. And the fifth and final thing is coming back into the body. What matters is that you get back into your body and back into the present moment, because that is where you'll know that you're safe and well. That's where your point of power is. And so whether it's meditation, whether it's breathing, whether it's earthing, it's nice weather to be doing that right now, getting our feet out on Mother Earth, but we need to be present. We can't scare ourselves better. We can't worst case scenario things better. It takes away our power. And we're of no help to anyone else in that state. And as empaths, we want to be helpful. So we need to be in our body. We need to be doing the self-care, the level of self-care that allows us to know that in this moment, I'm okay. I'm right here in this moment. What am I guided to do next? And I really started living this fully back in 1998 on the Journey of the Heart, where myself and a friend were guided through a channeled message from the Elohim to go on a journey of the heart, to light other people's lights, that it would help activate them. And often there was nothing that we needed to do. We simply needed to be. My job was to find out where we needed to be, and our energy would radiate out. So it's kind of just like how you were talking about checking in, noticing what's going on for you, is also being mirrored outside. And when we would do that, we would get led to places where I would need to do something for the earth, or there was a conversation we needed to have. And it led us to some unusual places, like in 1998, being up at Hopi in Arizona on the Hopi Nation.
Yeah, on the Mesa.
Yes. And it was not only our time there, but also work with a Hopi elder who prepared me 22 years ago. I never had a timeline for what we're going through now, but I knew this time was coming. Much as the Hopi and the Mayans, you find it in a lot of indigenous cultures, have been foretelling us of this time, of this cycle, right? And what I was told was my job was to be peace. So as an empath, if I'm going to be peaceful, I have to take care of myself. I can't run about, flailing about. I can't try and fit myself into the old way of doing. And over 22 years, everything that really wasn't in alignment with me began to unravel, with health crises, with cancer, heart disease, major things happening that made me say, okay, do you want to show up? Are you going to fulfill your soul path? And I was more scared at the time of dying than I was of what I would be facing in the future. All I knew is by developing the checking and discernment, doing the self-care, saying yes when I'm guided to, when someone reaches out, and going and speaking with someone or going somewhere just to be there, that I would be in the right place at the right time and could offer that peaceful presence that would be of service. And I'm hoping that for the people who are listening right now to this radio show, that even in this moment, invite them just to breathe and be, as they listen to Auntie Joan and me, that they're okay. That in this moment, they're okay. And then in the next moment, we're going to breathe into that moment. We're going to move through this together. None of us are alone, even while we're practicing social distancing.
Exactly. So what else did the Hopi say to you about this time?
It was primarily about what my role would be. And it was, at the time, I didn't know I would be doing the level of healing work that I was doing. I had already been doing that for a good maybe 5 years back then, because it's almost 30 years that I've been doing this. I had no idea until a year and a half ago that I would be painting and doing the soul signature portraits, which help highlight and energize what people need from a soul level to help them with this transition. It all came. You get these little nigglings, these little promptings. And what I found in my life, I don't know about you, but when I ignore them, things don't go so well.
Yeah, no. You get the cosmic 2x4 then.
Exactly. And that's one of the advantages when people have come to me and said, I'm an empath, I'm a sensitive, and it's a curse. I was like, heavens no. We have added abilities to access information. The thing is, we're also being called to stand up, to show up. And it can be a small thing. It may just be hearing an inner prompting that we need to reach out to a neighbor or a family member, that we need to call someone in our government and say enough is enough, that we need to share something on Facebook or on social media to explain or invite people to consider alternatives, instead of being stuck into the limiting thinking that they've had. But if we listen to those promptings, to those energetic cues, that's how we help nurture this transition. And we can see it as a birthing instead of simply focusing on the destruction.
Yes. Speaking of doing things when you're prompted, we did Loving the Earth Day with Jane. Love Jane. It's just a great show. And what came through for the show is that I said, Jane, it feels like this next eclipse for us coming up on this close to the 4th of July for the U.S. It's going to be big. I said, let's focus on love. Let's make that the Focus on Love Day. So I'm just going to put that out there again to everybody. So for this 4th of July, go into your heart and find the fireworks within, that passion in your heart, and make that passion the love. Make it love. Live from that guiding principle of love. And just hold that for that day and for the U.S. and for everybody here, especially for the U.S., just because that's the birth chart of the U.S. And we're all cancers in that way, and we can feel that. So I'm just going to put that out there again.
Well, I think that makes total sense, because really, in holding that energy of love, that's who we are. So your invitation is coming back to who you are. We are love. The things that we do, as I said before, you can't possibly consider in a long-term way, in a global, soul perspective, that you're going to benefit by harming others. It doesn't work. It's a very short-term thinking. And, if you believe in reincarnation, if you believe in nation building, if you believe in a global universe, would it not make sense? You've got a vested interest in being who you are, because you're important. That little spark of light and love can illuminate the world. And the more of us holding that energy, the transitions can be easier.
Yes. So all of us coming together, I think, is, the group energy. I had Lynn McTaggart on, and of course she wrote the book, The Power of Eight, and, the intention experiment and all, and the power of group energy. And actually I have a group of not 8 yet, but we do have a group, and we hold our intentions for each of us every month, and for the world. So the more people, and I'm just encouraging, and this has been shown, she's got evidence, she's done the research to show this does make a difference. It goes exponential. The more people you have, we're just getting this vortex going of love. So I'm just encouraging everybody to join in.
What if we did something right? Yeah, what if we did something right now, Joan?
Oh, we can do that, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm inviting everyone to take a moment, wherever you are, provided you're not driving while you're listening to this. Take a moment, close your eyes, and allow yourself simply to be. Inhaling relaxation and exhaling away any tension of your day. And with every inhalation, you're breathing in healing, peaceful, loving energy. And with every exhalation, any of your stress or worries or tension is melting away. Inhaling relaxation. And exhaling away any tension. And as your breath slows and deepens, your mind relaxes. Your body knows for the next few moments there's nowhere you need to go. There's nothing you need to do. And your mind becomes even quieter. As you go within, and in your mind's eye, I invite you to go right to your heart, where there's a beautiful, divine spark. With every inhalation, that spark grows stronger, illuminating every nook and cranny of your heart. Transmuting any energy that you've been holding, any judgments, any worries, any fears. Inhaling relaxation, peace, and love, and allowing that flame, your divine spark, to illuminate your heart. That's it. As you do that, you create more space for love, for light, for alignment. I can feel that. With every breath, that light is growing brighter and brighter, illuminating your entire heart, and it begins to overflow. And that healing, loving, peaceful energy flows through every cell and molecule of your being. And you feel that radiating down your arms, down your torso, down your legs. that transmuting energy of love and light, illuminating you, your true self, a being of love. And that energy feels so good as you continue to breathe, giving energy to your divine spark. You can imagine it overflowing from you throughout your home, to your loved ones, to your pets, to your community. And allow that love, that beautiful, pure flame to move out across your community, across your state or province. If we were looking at this from the sky, I can imagine all those beautiful points of light, sending healing energy, sending love, without attachment to how it's used, but from a place of unconditional love and acceptance, nourishing and nurturing every person, every place, those that swim, those that fly, the four-legged, those that crawl, just feeling that love, that wave. That feels so much better, doesn't it? As empaths, when we get overwhelmed, we can think that I'm just one person and there's nothing I can do. But simply by focusing your energy, coming back to center, focusing on love, and this call to service that you've been born with, you really can make a difference. I could feel, I've still got shivers going across my arms and down my legs. I could feel the energy as your listeners participated in that just brief meditation. What we all do matters. Simply focusing on love, on unity, on justice, that's very powerful. Those who are afraid of change may wish us to stay locked in particular patterns. And if we let go of those bonds, my goodness, it create heaven on earth. Simply by aligning with who we really are. And I think that's the reason why more and more empaths are being woken up, activated at this time. Because we can hold that energy. But whether or not we identify as an empath or an HSP doesn't matter. Anyone can focus on love at any time. If you say you don't have time to meditate, if you're sitting at a stop sign in your car, at the stoplight rather, because the stop sign's not going to change, but the stoplight will. a few breaths focused on love, you've changed your vibration. You've changed the vibration around you. It's very powerful. So thank you to your listeners and to you, Joan, for letting us do that.
Yes, that was beautiful. And this year is all about self-empowerment. And to remind everyone that we do always have the power to change things, to choose differently, and to make a difference. And
absolutely,
even though it may seem so simple, it has profound effects.
I think that's why it's such a blessing, Joan. And I'm always grateful when you ask me to come and visit, because it's lovely to visit with you. What you are doing, it reaches out to so many people. You may never know from each and every one of us, but I'm glad I have this opportunity right now to say thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. Yes. And that is my one of my jobs, if you will, but
Yeah.
to get the message out and to reach as many people as I can. And I'm so appreciative to everyone that's listening from all over the world. I have listeners from all over the world, and I welcome you every week, and love to hear from you too. So that was wonderful, and it really got us into a different space. And speaking of space, I'd like to talk a little bit more about our star beings. And you brought that up, and I know from what's happening recently that there's so much more talk about life on other planets. There was just put out the other day, I saw, I think it was like 34 other planets they found water on. I'm like, water is ubiquitous. Water is everywhere. I'm like, that's nice that you're putting it out for only 34, but I got news for you. Water is everywhere. But it's instilling into the consciousness that, gee, life could exist there then, because we equate life with water. And there's more and more talk and more disclosure. Things are being disclosed in other countries, like in Britain and all. More and more things are being declassified. And now we see, we do have, our intergalactic neighbors coming. So how can we as empaths work more and more with our star being neighbors?
Much like when we get an energetic cue and I invite people to check and see, is it mine? The reason why we're doing that is we're starting to be aware of the subtle cues that we get when we're playing energetic bumper cars with elements of the earth or with people that are close by us. And it blows people's minds at times when I say they may be feeling something from a person that's halfway around the world. Well, once you realize that you can do that, then you realize that you can do it. Distance is not an issue. And frankly, time, the whole time-space thing, those aren't issues. And so I was very mindful because the guides on the Journey of the Heart in 1998, several of them were galactic beings, were star beings. And they were very clear they did not want the term alien. They found it very dismissive, this whole sort of othering of them, right? We do it in our human community, and we often seem to do it to our galactic community as well. These are, as you said, our neighbors. And the only way to connect to anyone is to be present. So we first have to be mindful as empaths, being able to connect to ourselves. And then we begin to reach out. I'm very mindful about connecting with light language, with star beings, and stuff like that. It may sound so sexy that people decide they don't want to be here on Earth. And I think the first thing is we really do have to remember that we're here on Earth at this time for a reason. We need to be grounded and connected.
Yeah, we need to be here. Yes, yes.
And this is also what I found, because this was very important from 98 on, especially with having several of our guides being star people, is always, again, comes down to discernment. Are they coming from the light? Just like us, people have different intentions, right? So that understanding protocols about how to communicate and then practicing the discernment and being able to step away from the, oh my God, I can't possibly do this. Yes, you can, because we're all one. So really what you're doing is acknowledging another aspect of yourself, just as much as when your focus is on the earth, acknowledging that tree is me, and I'm going to learn something. And that tree is a being just as much as I am, and I'm going to listen. It means that we need to slow down. We need to get quiet and centered and open. And so with all of the changes and shifts that are going on, it's important now more than ever to do the work. And that's the one thing I have so much compassion for the people who haven't had 22 years preparation for this.
Exactly, yes.
I got to do it a lot slower, and I still got hit over the head.
Yeah, oh yeah. Who didn't?
So
I feel that same way, Eagle Spirit, that I've been blessed with all of this time going through all of this and having the awareness and so much compassion. And that is really what Jane and I have been focusing on these Loving the Earth Days, is a lot about compassion. I've been bringing up Greg Braden's book, Walking Between the Worlds, The Science of Compassion, and having the compassion for people that are just doing this now.
Can I relay something to you? I had a phone call this morning. I had just stepped out of the studio, and a lady contacted me. She said, my husband is going to call you because we're really excited. There's a contemporary shaman in our neighborhood, and we want to talk to you. But I have to tell you what's going on with him. And I had to reel her back in as she was talking about his sudden awakening and her fear for him, because she's afraid what will happen to them. And as much as she was concerned for him, I kept bringing it back to her.
Mm-hmm.
So for the people who are suddenly awakening, unlike those of us who it's been a journey, it's been a process, and yes, we have exciting bursts and we have fears and worries, but we come back to center because we have the tools, because we've been learning the tools and living the tools. For now, for those who are getting that sudden rapid awakening, that compassion is so darn important, and that discernment is important, because you're still going to have the people who are going to jump on those fears and to sell you something, right? Just like they did at the end with the Mayan calendar, just like they did in 2012, just like they did in 2000, the 1999,
right.
2000. So this is why it's so very important right now that people start to learn how to connect within and open up to the possibility that there's a lot more going on than what we've been told and that what we've been educated to understand. The lovely thing is, both you and I can say from the bottom of our hearts, it's some of the juiciest, best stuff ever, because you realize that you actually can play a role in making us a better place, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I know. Yeah, everybody's on their own path, on their own journey, and everybody awakens in their own time, and to have that loving allowance. Yeah. So, what else do you want to say before we end the day today?
Let me just listen in here, because there's always something, and I got shivers as soon as you said that. Oof. When the Hopi elder talked about this time coming, what they had told me was there would be great environmental disaster, political unrest with and the reason the political unrest was there was going to be a lot of stirring up of fears because of the need to control the population because of this shift. And what came through when you asked that question was, it feels really important for me to remind people that they aren't alone, that they aren't crazy when they think something is going on or they're picking up an energetic cue. And I invite them, whether it's me, whether it's another wellness practitioner, learn the tools you need to help you at this time. Learn the wellness and self-care tools that you need. The Empath 101, because it's become everything's speeding up so quickly, whereas I only used to teach it in groups. Now I'm teaching it privately as well. I just finished working with a lady in England who I did the one-on-one with, because the more people I can give these tools to, I know that then in turn they will help others in their family, in their communities. So I really want to invite your listeners to remember, anytime that they feel overwhelmed or frightened, there's a reason why we're being pushed in that direction to be frightened at this time, right?
Yes, and there's so much fear right now. I was going to ask you about the fear.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But fear is often manufactured for control. It's time that we reclaim our power, realize that the person sitting across from us is our brother or our sister, or I always felt as I've been on this journey that that's God in front of me. And so I have something to learn from them. I have something to share. And if I listen well enough, then I'm going to collect something that then I can help others with. So I guess in summing up, I think it's that as empaths, I'm here to say we're not broken, we're blessed. We're here as part of the solution and part of the journey. It's no mistake that we're all here right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and now is the time. Alarm bells are going off.
Yeah.
And I just want to share this with my listeners. If you go to my website, joancerio.com, and you scroll to the bottom of the home page, and you can sign up for my newsletter, and there you can download tools to maintain balance in changing times. And there's a lot of tools there so that you can ground and center, and that's free. That's my gift to you. There's a free information page too that I told you about when I did Loving the Earth Day, about how to dissipate and balance energy. There's a meditation for that. So just click around, and this was great.
I'm really glad we got to do this. And much like yourself, if there's anything I can do to help you listeners, just please, I know on the webpage there'll be a link to this show. There'll be my contact information. I encourage
why don't
anyone
you share it again?
Sure. The website is EagleSpiritJourneys.com. You can also find me on Facebook. My business page is Eagle Spirit Journeys. My personal page is Eagle Spirit. You can find me on Instagram. And I don't know, it feels important, so I'm just going to say it. I'm going to give you my personal email. It's EagleSpiritJourneys@gmail.com. If there's something I can do to be of help, just reach out. We're all here together, and I want to encourage people to make those connections right now. Together, we're stronger.
Yes, together we are. And I just want to mention that your artwork is so wonderful, and that, if you're interested in getting a soul portrait or want to see more of our artwork, just, check into Eagle Spirit Journeys. And I'm encouraging you, too, to do your own either writing or drawing, artwork, and that is so healing right now, especially with a lot of the emotions, to get them out, whether you're writing, whether you're drawing, whether you're singing, whether you're dancing, just some way to move the energy right now.
It's great for us personally, but also then when you share it, you never know who you're going to bless. I spent a year resisting the message, paint, paint, paint. And I started painting, and it's starting conversations. And it's really a beautiful thing.
That's wonderful. So I encourage everyone to do that. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Eagle Spirit. And I'm wishing you many, many, many blessings.
Thank you, my dear. Have a great day.
Thanks. And so we come to the end of another Earth Energy Forecast show and the end of June. And you know what that means. So next Tuesday's show will be Jude Valentine, our resident astrologer, coming on to talk about the astrology of July. Yay! Can't wait. And here we are. We're going to make it through because we have all these tools, because I bring on these guests, these wonderful guests like Eagle Spirit and others to help us through this time. You're not alone. Please tune in again on Tuesday, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on Earth Energy Forecast.